Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. This is Dr. Debbie with Evolve Global 22's Healing Light Studio and our Healing Circle. Feel better daily. That's what it's all about. We build something that actually works. And the series this week is exciting. My friends, you've taken about 20,000 breaths today. And for most of us, every single one of them is wrong. Not dramatically wrong, not dangerously wrong, just off enough to keep your nervous system in a quiet, low-grade state of stress all day, every day, for your entire life. Think about that. I'm going to say something that might sound strange. Most people don't know how to breathe. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it literally. No one taught us. We were never given a manual for something we do 20,000 times a day, and it shows. Today, we're starting a 4-part series on breath work, and we're starting right here at the very beginning with the breath you are taking right now. So let's talk about what's actually happening. Here's the first thing most of us were never told. There's a right way and a wrong way to breathe, and the wrong way has become completely normal. The first thing to understand is mouth versus nose breathing. Most of us default to breathing through our mouths, especially during sleep, during stress, during exercise. It feels natural, but the nose is a sophisticated filtration and conditioning system. It warms the air, filters pathogens, humidifies the breath, and this is the part that surprises most people. It produces something called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It opens blood vessels and helps oxygen actually reach your cells. When you breathe through your mouth, you bypass all of that. The second thing is we breathe too fast. The average person takes 12 to 20 breaths per minute. Researchers found that optimal rate is closer to 5 to 6 breaths per minute. We are chronically overbreathing, and most of us have no idea. Now, here's where it gets counterintuitive. You might think more breathing means more oxygen, but that's not how it works. There's something called the Bohr Effect. Carbon dioxide, the gas we think of as just waste, is actually the trigger that signals your body to release oxygen from red blood cells into your tissues. When you overbreathe, you exhale too much CO2, and when the CO2 drops too low, oxygen stays locked in your blood and can't reach where it needs to go. More breathing can actually mean less oxygen delivery. And then there's where the breath lives in your body. Chest breathing versus belly breathing. When you breathe into your chest, which most stressed adults do, you activate the sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight state. When you breathe into your belly, use your diaphragm fully, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. Calm, recovery. Most people, especially in high stress environments, never fully access diaphragmatic breathing. They live in the top third of their lungs and wonder why they can't switch it off. So why is this so hard to change? The first reason is that habitual overbreathing feels completely normal. You adapted to it. Over years, your CO2 tolerance lowered, your breathing rate increased, and your body recalibrated what normal feels like. There's no there's no alarm that goes off. No discomfort to signal something is wrong. You just breathe the way you always breathe. The second reason is cultural. We live in a culture that rewards urgency, fast movement, fast speech, fast decisions. Slow breathing, 5 to 6 breaths per minute, feels almost uncomfortable at first, almost like being lazy. We've unconsciously absorbed the idea that being relaxed means being unproductive. So even when we try to slow down, something in us resists. And the third reason is posture. Think about how many hours a day you spend at a screen, hunched slightly forward, chin down, shoulders rolled in. That posture physically compresses your diaphragm. It limits the expansion of your lower lungs. Over time, it trains your body to use only the chest because that's all that is available. Here is one simple practice you can start doing today, and I suggest you do. It's not complicated. This is 2 minutes, one habit, 1 week. The practice is called the belly reset. Lie on your back or sit with your spine upright. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly just below the navel. Now breathe in through your nose. As you inhale, the only hand that should rise is the belly hand. The chest hand stays still. If your chest rises first or instead, that's the pattern we're changing. Inhale through your nose to 4 counts. Exhale through your nose for 6 counts. The exhale is longer than the inhale. This tells your nervous system that everything is okay. Do 10 breaths like this, then do it again tomorrow and the day after. So let's demonstrate this. One hand over the chest, one hand on the belly just below the navel. We're going to inhale and exhale through our nose, and we're going to inhale to the count of 4 and exhale to the count of 6. And the only hand that should move is your belly hand. So let's do this. It's as easy as that, my friends. The cue I want you to remember is low and slow. Belly first, nose always. If you can do this before you look at your phone in the morning, you will start your nervous system in a completely different state. Not a transformed state, just a slightly calmer one. And that, my friends, compounds over time. Nobody taught you this. Nobody taught me this. Nobody taught us how to do the one thing that we do more than anything else in our lives. That's what this series is here to change. In part 2, we're going to look at the full landscape of breathwork, from box breathing to Wim Hof to holotropic. And I'll explain what each one is actually doing to your brain and your nervous system, so you can stop guessing and start choosing. I will see you there. And if you find this content valuable and it helps you, jump on over to our Patreon. It's only $7.99 a month. Become a member of our Feel Better Daily community. We have morning anchors every morning for you. We have early releases of these live stream videos, a plethora of information, master classes, all sorts of things to support you in your healing, health, and wellness journey. And don't forget, in the description and the first comment, you have my 2 products that I stand by and I'm an ambassador for. The first one is Agara Cafe, a functional coffee. I suggest everybody try this. It is a life changer, a game changer. And then doTERRA essential oils, which is my medicine cabinet. Take care. I love you all, and I will see you in the circle. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Evolve Global 22's Healing Light Studio and our Healing Circle, Feel Better Daily. I'm Dr. Debbie. This is episode 2 this week. of our breathwork series. And tonight we're going to talk about what different breathwork styles actually do. So there are dozens of breathwork techniques. There's box breathing, 478, Wim Hof, holotropic, baitiku, pranayama, tumo, the physiological sign, alternate nostril, and breath of fire. Most people hear this list and immediately feel overwhelmed. They try one, don't feel anything dramatic after 2 minutes, and decide breath work isn't for them. Or they go down a rabbit hole, can't figure out which one to start with, and never start at all. I've been there, and today we're going to fix that. In part one, we covered why most of us have been breathing inefficiently our whole lives. Today, we build the map. Because once you understand what each category of breathwork is actually doing to your physiology, the choice becomes obvious. So let's get into this. There are many things that we don't know about, or we may not know about breathwork. The first thing is that most people don't know that breathwork is split into two fundamental categories: activating practices and calming practices. And they do opposite things. Calming breathwork slows your heart rate, lowers cortisol, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state. These are the practices you reach for when you're stressed, anxious, overstimulated, or struggling to sleep. Activating breath work raises arousal, increases energy, clears mental fog, and in extended sessions can produce significant emotional release. These are the practices you use when you're flat, disconnected, or low energy. Most people only discover the calming side, but the activating side is equally powerful. Let me talk you through the major techniques. Box breathing is 4 counts in, hold for 4, and 4 counts out, hold for 4. This is a regulation tool. It works by creating equal ratios in the breath cycle, which signals safety to the nervous system. It was formalized for use by Navy SEALs before high stress operations because it works fast and reliably, calming, grounding. It doesn't sedate you, it steadies you. The physiological side, this one surprised me when I first learned about it. Stanford researchers found it can shift your stress rate in a single breath cycle. Here's how: double inhale through the nose, 2 sharp sniffs in succession, then 1 long exhale through the mouth. The double inhale reinflates the small air sacs in the lungs that collapse under stress. The long exhale dumps CO2 and activates the vagus nerve. 1 breath, calming. The 478 breathing is inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. The long hold and extended exhale have a powerful sedative effect in the nervous system. This is the most effective breathwork practice I know of for pre-sleep and deep calming. The breath of fire, rapid, rhythmic, forceful exhales through the nose, about 1 per second, with passive inhales between. It's activating, it raises energy, clears the head, and warms the body. Not for anxiety states. This is one for low energy and mental fog. Then we have the Wim Hof method, 30 to 40 rapid, deep, circular breaths. Inhale fully, exhaling without forcing, followed by a breath hold after the final exhale. Then a recovery breath held for 15 seconds. This temporarily raises oxygen and lowers CO2, altering brain chemistry. People often feel tingling, lightheadedness, and euphoria. It carries real risks if done in water or while driving. Never do it unsupervised in these environments. It's activating and powerful. And last, the holotropic breathwork, developed by psychiatrist Stanislav Grof, continuous circular breathing, no pause between inhale and exhale, typically for 60 to 90 minutes with music and a facilitator present. It can produce profound emotional experiences and is used in trauma-informed therapeutic settings. This is not a beginner solo practice. It belongs in a container with support. The challenges that we face, as you know, we are human. The first challenge is paralysis by information. When someone discovers breath work and sees this entire landscape, they often spend more time researching than practicing. Breath work is a felt practice. You cannot think your way into understanding it. You have to do it. The second challenge is technique mismatch. The most common reason people conclude breath work doesn't work. They use an activating practice when they're already anxious and feel worse, or a calming practice when they're in a shutdown, flat state and feel nothing. The technique isn't wrong, the pairing is wrong. And the third challenge, my friends, is expectation. People read about tingling, emotional releases, feeling altered, and when their 3-minute session produces a slight sense of calm, they feel cheated. Dramatic experiences come from extended sessions after weeks of consistent practice. The subtle shifts are real. Most beginners miss them because they're looking for fireworks. So this is the practice for today, which is really something I want as a guidance for you as you work through breath work, is think of own 2 techniques before you learn a third. So own 1 calming technique and 1 energy technique. And that would be your complete starter toolkit. For calm, I recommend the 4-7-8. For energy, I recommend the breath of fire. Keep it simple, keep it consistent. And here's the key question I want you to start asking before every session. And don't miss the question. Ask yourself, am I trying to go up or down? That question alone will cut through all the overwhelm. Anxious and wired. Calm down. Use 4-7-8. Flat and foggy. Go up. Use breath of fire. We do these breathwork practices in our community on Patreon. It's only $7.99 a month. Hop on over to Patreon. Join our Feel Better Daily community. And we will build these practices and learn these practices together. You now have the map, you know the landscape, and you have 2 tools, 1 for each direction. In part 3, episode 3, we go somewhere more personal. We're going to talk about breath work for anxiety, for grief, and for trauma, because this practice isn't only about optimization. For a lot of people, maybe you, it's about something much deeper than that. I will see you there in our healing circle. Peace, love, and light always. I love you all. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Evolve Global 22's Healing Light Studio in our healing circle. Feel Better Daily. And this is episode 3 of our Breath Work to Healing series this week. And we are talking about breath work for anxiety, grief, and trauma. Take a breath, my friends, in through the nose and out through the mouth. My friends, the body keeps score. If you've spent any time in the wellness or mental health space, you've probably heard that phrase. It comes from the work of Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, a psychiatrist who spent decades studying how trauma doesn't live in the memory. It lives in the body, in the muscles, in the nervous system, in the breath. Today, we are talking about something harder than energy management and morning routines. We're talking about anxiety that won't lift even when nothing is wrong, grief that settles into the chest like a weight, trauma that the body is still holding long after the mind has tried to move on. The breath can reach places that talking sometimes can't. Let's get into this together. Here's the first thing most people don't know. Anxiety lives in the exhale. When you're anxious, the first thing that changes is your exhale. It gets shorter, faster, sometimes disappears almost entirely. You're just inhaling without ever fully releasing. This keeps your nervous system in a loop of activation, and the loop feeds itself. But here's what's remarkable. The exhale is directly connected to the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the body, running from the brainstem down through the heart, lungs, and gut. The vagus nerve is essentially your body's brake pedal. When you deliberately lengthen your exhale, you stimulate vagal activity. Your heart rate begins to slow. The stress hormones start to ease. The loop gets interrupted, my friends. You don't have to believe this. You can just try it right now. Exhale for twice as long as you inhale and feel it working. The second thing, grief, is a physical experience. This surprises people. We think of grief as an emotion, something that happens in the mind. But research shows that bereavement activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. The tightness of the chest that grieving people describe isn't metaphor. It's real tissue holding real tension. Breathing slowly and expansively opens the thoracic activity, releases the muscles around the rib cage, and creates physical space in an area that has been physically contracted. This is not a cure for grief. Nothing is a cure for grief, but it is a way to be with the grief without bracing against it. And the third thing that we may not know, trauma is stored as dysregulation, not as memory. This is the key insight from somatic work, from Peter Levin's research, from Van der Kolk's work. Trauma isn't primarily a story. It's a nervous system that got stuck in fight or flight or freeze and never fully come back to baseline. Talk therapy works from the top down, brain to body. Breath work works from the bottom up, body to the brain. For trauma in particular, the bottom up approach can reach things that talking alone cannot. And the fourth thing that we may not know, the vagus nerve, roughly 80% of vagal nerve fibers run from the body to the brain, not the other way around. The body is constantly sending signals upward. Slow diaphragmatic breathing is the most accessible way to increase what's called vagal tone. Higher vagal tone is associated with greater emotional resilience, lower baseline anxiety, better digestion, and improved immune function. You can improve vagal tone. The breath is one of the primary tools for doing it. Now, as we are all human, there are challenges. The first challenge is breathwork can surface emotions you weren't expecting. When you slow down and really tune into your body, sometimes things come up. A wave of sadness, a flash of anger, a feeling of overwhelm for no clear reason. For people carrying unprocessed emotion or trauma, this can feel threatening. The impulse is to stop, to open your eyes, to check your phone, to escape. I want to name that impulse because it's universal, and I want to reframe it. When something comes up in your breath work, that is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. That is a sign that the practice is touching something real. You can slow down, you can take a break, but try not to interpret the emotion as danger. It's just movement, and movement is what healing looks like. The second challenge, most of us have learned to hold our breath under stress, not as a technique, just as a default. Check in right now in this moment. Are you holding? Is there tension in your chest or belly? Are you breathing shallowly? Most people, when asked this question mid-video, realize they were. This default brace state accumulates over years, and breath work is how we begin to put it down. And the third, and I want to be clear about this, breath work is not a replacement for therapy. for complex trauma, especially relational trauma, developmental trauma, or experiences involving violence. Please work with a trained facilitator or therapist. Breathwork can open doors, but you should have support for what walks through them. So let's talk about a couple simple practices today. I have two practices that I want to share with you today. The first is for anxiety and grief, coherent breathing with a sigh. Sit or lie comfortably. Place both hands on your chest, not your belly this time. Feel the rib cage. Begin breathing at a ratio of 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out through the nose. No forcing, just 5 in and 5 out. Like this. Do this for 5 minutes. If emotion comes up, let it. Don't manage it. And on some of your exhales, let it be an audible sigh, a real one, not performed. So let me demonstrate it with that. So your hands are over your chest. Of course, you can feel your rib cage. It's 5 seconds. Begin breathing, a ratio of 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. And on the last exhale, and on some of the exhales, we are going to do an audible sigh. So let's begin. Very simple. That sigh is the body releasing. You don't need to know what it's releasing. You don't need to name it or understand it. Just let it go. The second practice is for freeze states, when you're not anxious, but numb, flat, disconnected, shut down, when you can't feel much of anything. I call this the freeze interrupt. These are 3 sharp double inhales through the nose, sniff, like a sniff, sniff, followed by a long open mouth exhale, then repeat 3 times. So let's do this. So it's 3 sharp double inhales through the nose, followed by a long open mouth exhale. So it would look something like this. You would repeat this for a total of 3 times. This shifts the nervous system out of what trauma researchers call dorsal vagal shutdown, the freeze response, and back toward a state where you can actually be present. Use this when you feel too far down, not for anxiety, for numbness. My friends, healing doesn't always look like breakthrough. It doesn't always look like tears and revelation and a moment of transformation. Sometimes it looks like 5 minutes, hands on your chest, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, an exhale that sounds like relief. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is just stop holding your breath. In our final episode, we put it all together: how to build a daily breathwork ritual that fits into your real life, not your ideal life, the one that you're actually living. Take care of yourself this week. I mean that literally. And take these practices and implement 1 or 2 for the right purpose and reason. If you find this content helpful or beneficial, please share it with somebody, and also join us on Patreon. It's only $7.99 a month, and there is a plethora of stuff there. More and more support, guidance, master classes. You get an early release of these live stream videos. I do a morning anchor each weekday morning. There's so much. You have direct access to me. Take care. Stay safe. I love you all. Bye-bye. I'll see you in the circle. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Evolve Global 22's Healing Light Studio and our Healing Circle. feel better daily. We are creating something real that you can use every day in your daily life. Simple and easy, nothing to stress us out. This is episode 4, building a daily breathwork ritual. And this is probably the most important one of this week because you can take this and run with it through your days and through your week. 3 episodes ago, I told you that most of us have been breathing wrong over our whole lives. 2 episodes ago, I gave you the map, every major breathwork style and what it actually does. The last episode, we went somewhere a little harder, anxiety, grief, trauma, what the breath can reach when other things can't. Today, my friends, we put it all together because here's the truth. You could watch all 4 of these videos, understand everything intellectually, and still never do it. Knowledge isn't a practice. Knowing about breathwork is not the same thing as breathing. So today is about the gap between knowing and doing and how to close it. Let's build your ritual. Here's the first thing most people miss. Frequency beats duration every single time. You do not need a 20-minute session. You do not need an app, a cushion, or any particular conditions. Research on heart rate variability, one of the primary measurable markers of nervous system health, shows that 2 minutes of slow, intentional breathing every day for a week produces meaningfully different results than one 14-minute session. The nervous system responds to consistency, my friends, not an occasional intensity. The second thing that we may not know is habit anchoring is the science of when. There's a concept in behavior design called habit stacking, attaching a new behavior to an existing trigger. The research is clear. Habits without anchors fail. Habits with anchors stick. You don't schedule breath work as a standalone event. You attach it to something you already do without thinking. Waking up, making coffee, sitting in your car before going inside, getting into bed. The third thing, nighttime breath work isn't just relaxing, it's neurologically restorative. Slow breathing before sleep lowers cortisol, supports melatonin production, and improves sleep architecture, specifically increasing the proportion of slow wave and REM sleep. These are the stages where emotional processing and physical restoration actually happen. If you do breath work at no other moment in your day, do it in the 2 minutes before you sleep. It's one of the highest leverage moments you have. And the fourth thing we may not know, breath work is the most portable practice that exists. Zero equipment, no location dependency. You can do it in the bathroom before a presentation, in your car, on a subway, in a meeting, invisibly through your nose with your eyes open. The barrier to entry is genuinely zero, my friends. The only thing required is a decision to pay attention. As always, as human beings, we face challenges. The first challenge is what I call the reactive trap. Most people plan to use breathwork when they feel stressed, when they need it, which sounds logical, but it's the wellness equivalent of only brushing your teeth when your mouth hurts. Breath work used reactively is better than nothing, but breath work used proactively before the stress arrives changes your baseline. The goal isn't stress management. The goal is being someone whose nervous system doesn't spike as high or stay elevated as long. That change only happens through daily practices, not emergency sessions. The second thing that's a challenge is the all or nothing mindset. You miss a day, then 2, the streak is broken and the habit feels dead. This kills more wellness habits than almost anything else. Here's the reframe I want you to hold. A non-zero practice always counts. 1 breath taken with intention, 1 physiological sigh before bed when you forget everything else. It counts. Not because it's optimal, but because it keeps the identity alive. You are someone who breathes with intention, even on the hard days, even on the days you only managed 1 breath. And the third challenge is timeline. Real nervous system change through breath work takes 3 to 6 weeks of consistent practice to show up in measurable ways. Most people quit at week 2, which is almost precisely the week before it starts working. I can't prove that to you in advance, but I can tell you if you make it to week 3, you will feel the difference and you will not want to stop. So let's talk about our ritual blueprint. Here is your daily breathwork ritual: 3 anchors, 7 minutes total, no gear required. Anchor 1, the morning reset, 2 minutes before you touch your phone or do anything else. Belly breathing, nose only, inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6, 10 breaths. So your hand on your heart, your other hand below the navel on your belly. Make sure you're breathing into the belly, meaning that's the hand that should move. If your hand on your chest is moving, you're breathing in the chest. We don't want that. Belly breathing. So you have your hands where they're placed properly. Nose only. Inhale 4 counts. Exhale for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now my mouth was open because I was talking, but you want to inhale and exhale through the nose like this. Let's do this again, and I'm going to do it without the count. And you want to do that for 10 breaths. That's it. Before the news, before email, before the day floods in, you set your nervous system starting point. This is your non-negotiable. If you do nothing else, do this, my friends. Anchor 2, the midday sigh, 60 seconds, before lunch or any natural transition between meetings, before a difficult conversation, when you get into your car. The physiological sigh, remember, is 2 sharp nasal inhales, 1 long mouth exhale 5 times. So, do that 5 times. This clears the accumulated stress of the morning. It takes less time than unlocking your phone. Anchor 3, the evening wind down, 4 minutes in bed or right before. The 4-7-8 breathing. You inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale through your mouth for 8, and do 4 rounds. I will demonstrate. So it's inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale through your mouth for 8. And you want to take a deep, you want to fill your lungs on the inhale. So it'd go like something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Again. Hold for 7. Exhale to 8. If you fall asleep during this practice, that is not failure. That is the point. 3 anchors: morning before the phone, midday before lunch, night before sleep. 7 minutes total. This is the whole ritual, my friends. It is not glamorous. It is not complicated, and it will work. 4 episodes ago, my friends, you were breathing the way you always had. Now you know why that matters. You have the map. You understand how breath touches anxiety, grief, and trauma in ways that nothing else quite reaches. And you have a ritual that fits inside your real life, not the life you wish you had, but the one you're actually living. I want to leave you with one thing. The breath is always there. It is the one resource that doesn't require a good day. It doesn't require the right mood or clear schedule or the energy to do something hard. It is happening right now. It has been happening since the moment you were born. The only thing breathwork asks of you is attention. Start tomorrow morning, 10 breaths before the phone. That's the whole practice. That's the beginning of everything. If you have found this content helpful, share it with somebody who might benefit. And also come on over to Patreon. This is where we have our Feel Better Daily Healing Community. It's only $7.99 a month. We do different practices. We do meditations. We have master classes. You have direct access to me and so much more. You get early releases of these streamed videos and a plethora of information. Come join us. You will not regret it. Take care. I love you all. I will see you next week in our healing circle. And don't forget, Fridays is a complete rerun of each episode this week, or each episode of the week, streamed all together. So if you missed something or you want to just go through it all one more time, that's the time to do it. Friday night, 8 p.m. EST. Take care. I love you all. Peace, love, and light.